Hey everyone, it's Cal Doggett here, founder of InvestorCode. This is my first YouTube video, so bear with me. I'm going to try and do my best here. From my house in Swanbourne, Western Australia, I'm in my gorgeous library, which is luckily my office. And what I thought I'd do, my first video here, is I'll basically explain what my intention is with InvestorCode and how I believe about bringing content and information to you on a regular fashion, and some of the principles that I'll use to underpin that information flow. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So, an intro to InvestorCode. The 4 key principles that are going to found InvestorCode, they're going to form the bedrock of what I do, and I've given this quite a bit of consideration over a number of years as this InvestorCode idea percolated in the background. So it's with a pleasure and a bit of confidence that I kind of cover these 4 principles for you now. And the first one is something which I've held true for all of my professional career with properties and pathways, and all my investors and clients will know that is the case. It's radical transparency. And we've always wanted to be transparent, but I think InvestorCode gives me a forum where I'm not governed by any AFSL, so there's no limitations in terms of the ASIC compliance governance that my syndication business has, which really means that I can fully embrace what radical means, and I can give you opinion, and I can give you what I believe will work and what I believe won't work, and what has worked and what hasn't worked. And I can do that in a really authentic way. And I must say, of all the principles I'm going to go through here, that's the one that really feels the best for me energetically, because I can express openly. Whether you like it or not, it's another thing. And if you don't, just unsubscribe. If you do, I hope that you get value. You get value from my opinions. Apologies if they're a little bit brutal at times, but that's what I'm here to do. So I will be holding radical transparency as an absolute cornerstone of everything you see with InvestorCode. I'd like to educate rather than advise. And this is another important one for me, because the InvestorCode brand is an online platform. It is there to educate, which means that I'm kind of shying away from the advice. This is not personal advice. This is not financial advice. This is not me telling you what you should do. I'm definitely not arrogant enough or experienced enough to sit here and tell you that there's only one way of doing things. So rather, I thought I would use the first one. So use radical transparency, use my opinions, use a really open, candid look at what has worked and what hasn't worked, and use that as a framework to provide education. Now, there are some fundamentals in all areas of life, and property is no different. And you've got to be really wary when someone comes and says, "Oh, I've got a new fundamental," because fundamentals typically are tried and tested over many, many years. And I'm so grateful to have learnt, and really now I feel like I'm embodying those fundamentals. So I will be using education as a tool here rather than advice to really get these fundamentals across, get my nous across as best I can, hopefully really inspire you into action, into the commercial property industry. Commercial property is the most gorgeous asset class. I mean, I obviously love it, but it's been wonderful for me and my family as a way of truly enjoying life's financial abundance, and it hasn't been complicated. And I'd love to openly share that with you in an educational fashion rather than this kind of like advice. The third thing is I will bring clarity and simplicity to complex markets. Now, the commercial property market is a complex one. It's not like residential. It's far more illiquid. On a residential house, you could drop your price 50 grand and you'll get a buyer. The commercial game, there's leases, there's covenants, there's restrictions, there's caveats, there's titles, there's so much. There's a whole, there's legislation which governs how you can and can't interact with your tenants. There's a huge body of complexity. And what I like to do is take the radical transparency, take education, and then use those to get really clear on what actually moves the needle. And there's the gorgeous philosophy that 20% of what you do actually creates 80% of the outcome. And I've always applied that to commercial property. And what I found is that when you take something complex and make it simple, you really have to know what you're talking about. And so I hope that I can inspire you into action by showing you that commercial property is just human nature. I mean, quick questions now, like, would you prefer a 5-year lease to McDonald's or a 10-year lease to McDonald's? And a really simple answer to that question. That's human nature. Would you prefer a lease to McDonald's or to the kebab shop down the road? Again, that's just human nature. And that translates itself into value in the commercial property game. And so, that's a really easy way of me saying all these moving parts and all these different lease terms and rentals and escalations and option periods and incentives. Let's just get really clear on the 3 or 4 things that actually drive value. And so I will lead with that always in all of my content. So clarity in complex markets. And the 4th thing I want to do is empower your independent thinking. This is so important, guys. It is paramount that you form your own opinion. And if you like what I have to say, great. Keep picking it up, keep subscribing, keep watching. If you are scared about what I'm saying, please shy away from it and find somewhere else to form your opinion. If there's different commentary from different people, don't just accept both of them. Really take them out onto the veranda with a cricket bat and hit them around. Like, test your opinions. And I want to empower you to come up with your own independent thinking. So when markets get hot and they get speculative and there's a lot of liquidity coming into a market, it's really easy to follow the crowd. And so what I'm trying to do with Investor Code, the whole genesis here, is to give you radical transparency, educate you, and then give you clarity so that you can actually absorb the content and then go, do I believe that or not? Like, does that work for me or not? Is that something I want to live my financial life on or not? And that's totally up to you. I'll give you the best of what I've got. I promise you that much. But it is here to empower you. I don't want to be telling you. I certainly don't want to be dictating to you. This is about elevating your own financial awareness and elevating your financial abundance, hopefully, alongside that. So you can start looking at investment outcomes and assets and complexity and saying, you know what, I believe this. So I really hope to empower and inspire you into this commercial property market. So with that being said, I will be posting weekly videos, content on my YouTube channel. So please do subscribe if you like it. And if you want to take the next step, or you want to take both steps, there's investorcode.com.au to keep up with my thoughts, my private offerings, some exclusive content that won't be finding its way onto YouTube, and some vaulted videos which are of enormous value. I've already filmed a few of those, and they are genuinely incredible in value. So if you're wanting to get access to some of those over the fullness of time, please head to investorcode.com.au and subscribe to our newsletter. So why listen to me? If you've got this far, I'll tell you why. I've got 20 years of commercial property investing experience, okay? I have well over $500 million worth of transactional experience. So that's buying assets, leasing assets, and selling assets. I've done well over 100 leasing deals. That's probably close to 200 leasing deals now. And during that time with my syndicated business, Properties and Pathways, I've generated an average return for my clients and investors of 21% per annum. That's on average, okay? Which is an astounding return rate. And look, I don't think it's achievable to continue doing that long term in the current market, but it's something I'm really proud of. What I'm more proud of is this next one, is that there's actually countless examples of 100+% returns that I've been able to generate in the commercial property market personally and for my private clients. And that's something that's really true to my heart, because that's where I've been able to test the boundaries of what is achievable on commercial property. I've been able to really, really push the leverage and say, hey, like, what about if we can make that risk palatable? Like, how can we take that enormous upside but make it de-risked from day one? So I'll be giving you the best of me, and this is why I believe there's something worthwhile to listen to. What you'll get by listening to Investor Code, well, you'll get case studies on what I've worked on. So for instance, one of the case studies I'm doing at the moment is how I made my client $2.45 million in 42 days. A phenomenal amount of money in a really short amount of time. Another case study I'm doing at the moment is how I generated $520,000 for an asset I already owned in about 60 days with one phone call. So I'll be doing case studies, and not just the good stuff. I'll be doing case studies on, hey, did this one go bad? And why did it go bad? How to add value at every stage of the ownership cycle. This is really important. Commercial property is not a set and forget. This is not just buy it, I've got a 10-year lease and walk away. No, I want to inspire your action to go, actually, if I own that, how can I continue to absolutely maximize value and return with clever thinking and clever structuring? I'll be giving you everything I've got, all the nous, everything I've learned in how to add value at every stage of the ownership cycle. The other thing you'll get is commentary on the market. You'll get commentary on interest rates. You'll get commentary on, every now and again there's a really notable transaction that comes up. And I'm not an expert in commercial property. I've just learned a lot, so I'll give you what I think on all of those things there, which is pretty exciting actually. And then I will delve into the complexities of portfolio ownership versus single asset ownership. And there are some differences there. There's some idiosyncrasies there. So while you'll get all the nous and knowledge of how to go acquire, manage, and sell and lease an individual asset, I'll also take a broader view and helicopter out of it and go, well, what happens if that was just one asset in a pool of assets? And what if that one asset was in a pool of assets which was in a larger pool of different classes of assets? How do you manage all of that with interest rates and leverage and debt and cycles and risk tolerances? How do you do that? So I'll be dipping into both of those pools. And as I say, I'm not an expert at this, but I've learned a lot over 20 years. Been doing it for some private clients now for that long, and we've achieved some incredible results. So I'll be doing that, and I'll be sharing what I'm doing with my own finances. And that's so important, guys. I covered that earlier on with radical transparency. I will never tell you to do something, or I'll never suggest you do something that I haven't done myself. It is really important that you're going to get a transparent view at exactly what I'll be looking at and what I'll be doing. Okay. This is an important slide. What you won't get, you will not get me professing to be what I'm not, all right? And this is really important. I think over 20 years, if there's anything I've learned, I've learned what I'm good at and I've learned what I'm not good at. And there is a lot more that I'm not good at than what I'm good at, okay? So I find investment grade assets and add value. That's it. And if I can add value from day one, great. And if I can de-risk it from day one, even better. But this is what I'm not. I'm not an expert in land development. Yes, I have developed land. I've done it for my clients. I've done it because there's an obvious extension to an existing asset. I've done it because the tenants come to me and said, Cal, I want 270 square meters on Wanneroo Road, and I'll go do that for them. But this is not my core business. I'm not a land developer. I'm also not an expert in land subdivision. Have I done that? Yes, I have. Currently, we've got about 70 subdivisions in WA right now. So I'm well versed in it, but I did it because the market was telling me there was a gorgeous opportunity rather than me actually having 20 years of land subdivision experience. So yes, I know what I'm doing, but am I an expert? No. Is it working out really well at the moment? Absolutely. Property construction. Again, guys, I'm not an expert in that, so I'll show you how to use construction and use development and use property tools and tricks and consultants, how to de-risk everything using these, but I'm not an expert in them. Alternate asset classes like hotels and self-storage and data center management. That's not my game. I'm really good at investment grade assets that are ordinary and vanilla. They're down the line, retail, industrial, office. It's about as good as it gets, guys. That's me. And interestingly, over 20 years in the game, I have what I believe refined a model to do the little bit that makes the biggest amount of value, the biggest amount of upside, okay? And yes, I know valuations and I know financial modeling because they drive all of my decisions and they've driven all my investors' decisions. but I'm not an expert in them. I did not go get my valuer ticket. And I certainly am not a financial modeling expert. I've got some sexy sexy Excel spreadsheets which do the job, but that's about it. And I've made money sticking in my train tracks, and that's what I'm going to try and do here. So I know what works. I know that there's a whole lot that I don't know, and I'm going to leave that to someone else, guys. I'm going to tell you the little bit that I do know, and I hope it inspires you to take action. That's what I hope. Interestingly, over those 20 years, there is a formula that I have refined. And as I said, this is the train tracks, right? There are so many things that I know, and there's way more that I don't know. And I think it's really important to look in the mirror and go, you know what, I'm actually good at that. Like, that's working for me. Why would I continue to try and push this and continue to try and do that when this option over here continues to yield really, really great returns? And that's where I've started to distill this formula. And this formula is 6 steps, how to make money. It is 3 key actions that drive enormous value. And guys, when you understand these 3 key actions, you'll see they're behind just about everything I do in commercial property. I cover this all in my online course. And then what you do is you go and find and source opportunities which allow you to do those 3 key actions, not the other way around. And that's why everyone gets it wrong. They go buy a property and then they sit there waiting to add value to it, or they sit there waiting for a risk to come, or they sit there waiting for an opportunity. I'm the opposite. I'm like, there's 3 key actions that drive enormous value. Figure out which one of those you're going to do, and then find the property to match the action. Now that's clever thinking. That's what I want to inspire you to do. How to say no to 999 properties out of 1,000, guys. This is literally the game I'm in. I'm in the game of saying no. I might buy 2 properties a year, sometimes 3, and it's about refining and refining and refining and refining to say no, 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 no. That one works, and then going hell for leather for that one. So that's kind of the ethos I want to be providing to you, and that's part of this formula, is learning to say no and having the discipline to say no. I'll be teaching the essential things you need to know and do to secure opportunities, and then de-risk them before you buy them. That is my formula. It works. I promise you it works. And you'll be seeing a lot of that in the foundation of these videos. So guys, with that all being said, I am really excited to share this journey with you. As I said, this is my first YouTube video. So please comment below if it was too long or too short, or you didn't like this, you didn't like that. And I'll do my best to keep refining these over time with a huge amount of respect and humility. I welcome you to the Investor Code YouTube channel, and I can't wait for the future. Thank you so much for listening.